Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into the absolute foundational architecture of our digital lives. We're talking about an operating system so deeply embedded into our global infrastructure that it's practically invisible to the average person, yet it is absolutely indispensable. Of course, I'm talking about Linux.
Think about it. We all know what's running on our personal laptops, right? But what truly powers the internet? What's running the vast majority of web servers, the massive cloud infrastructure, and the world's absolute fastest supercomputers? It's a completely different beast, and today we're going to break down exactly why it rules the enterprise world.
Here is our roadmap for today. First up, we'll break down the hidden operating system. Then, we'll explore Linux superpowers and advantages. Third, we'll cover the main desktop drawbacks. Fourth, we'll run the ultimate OS showdown. And finally, we'll help you with choosing your first distro.
All right, let's jump right in with Section 1, the hidden operating system.
So unlike those massive proprietary products owned by a single mega corporation, Linux is actually, at its heart, an open source operating system kernel. And because anyone, literally anyone, can view and modify the source code, programmers from all over the globe collaborate on it. They take this core kernel, package it up with some really great tools, and create complete operating systems. We call these distributions, or just distros for short.
Now, while you might be sitting at a Mac or a PC right now, Linux is the absolute undisputed king of the data center. Thanks to its legendary stability and incredible networking support, most web servers, hosting providers, and those massive cloud platforms, they all run on Linux-based systems. It is the absolute backbone of global enterprise infrastructure.
Moving on to Section 2, Linux superpowers and advantages.
Zero. Yep, you heard me right, zero. That is exactly what it costs to license this completely enterprise-grade operating system. Unlike those proprietary platforms that hit you with hefty licensing fees, most Linux distributions are entirely free. You get access to this top-tier, community-driven development without spending a single dime.
But you know, the benefits go way beyond just a free price tag. Because Linux runs incredibly lean, fewer background services, super efficient memory management, it performs like an absolute dream on older, low-RAM systems. By choosing a lightweight desktop environment like XFCE, LXQT, or Mate, you can literally resurrect an aging, dusty laptop that's struggling to even boot modern Windows. You can turn it right back into a lightning-fast, highly responsive machine.
In the versatility, it's just off the charts. Developers absolutely love Linux because programming ecosystems, think Python, C++, Node.js, they all just work, natively and naturally right out of the box. Meanwhile, network engineers are using tools like Wireshark from day one. The terminal and command line interfaces are honestly unmatched for automation, remote management, and high-level cybersecurity work.
Now, we really can't talk about superpowers without bringing up security. Linux uses this strict privilege system called sudo. It basically keeps regular users totally separated from administrative controls, which is huge for stopping malware right in its tracks. You combine that with powerful built-in firewalls like IP tables, totally transparent open source code auditing, and unmatched uptime, literally running for months or years without a reboot, and it totally makes sense why the cybersecurity world absolutely depends on it.
Okay, let's keep it real and move to Section 3, the main desktop drawbacks.
Look, if you're making the jump from Windows or Mac, you're definitely going to hit some software hurdles. Let's just be completely transparent here. There is no native Adobe Photoshop on Linux. It's just not there. You also won't find the desktop versions of Microsoft Office apps. And while there are some really great alternatives out there, like GIMP and LibreOffice, they might not seamlessly replace your specific professional workflow. Plus, hardware drivers, especially for certain Wi-Fi adapters or NVIDIA graphics cards, well, they can sometimes require some pretty frustrating manual configuration.
But here's the cool part. The Linux community is actively attacking these limitations, especially when it comes to gaming. Historically, yeah, Linux gaming was virtually non-existent. But today, tools like Steam's Proton act as this incredibly seamless compatibility bridge, and it allows you to play massive libraries of Windows games natively on Linux. It's a real game changer.
There's a catch, though. The exact same freedom that makes Linux so great also creates something called fragmentation. Since anyone can build a distro, there are, well, literally hundreds of them out there. For a beginner trying to transition their workflow, that much choice can be super overwhelming. Different distros use completely different desktop layouts, different update systems, and different package managers, like APT or DNF. Navigating all of that, along with the pretty steep learning curve of the command line terminal, can definitely feel intimidating at first.
Let's put them head-to-head in Section 4, the ultimate OS showdown.
So when you really weigh all the trade-offs, Linux absolutely dominates on cost and customization. I mean, it lets you tweak virtually everything and breathe completely new life into old hardware. However, it does concede the out-of-the-box gaming crown to Windows, while macOS remains pretty much locked into its own hardware ecosystem. Really, it's all about picking the right tool for the job.
Which brings us to our final stop, Section 5, choosing your first distro.
All right, let's map out your paths into this ecosystem. If you just want a smooth, easy transition that feels super familiar and works perfectly right out of the box, the beginner path is 100% for you. You're going to want to start with Ubuntu or Linux Mint. They are incredibly user-friendly. But if you're the kind of person who wants to understand how every single gear in your system turns, or maybe you're an aspiring ethical hacker, then the advanced and cyber path is calling your name. Distros like Arch Linux require full manual configuration, while Kali Linux comes preloaded with elite penetration testing tools like Nmap and Metasploit.
And hey, if you're assuming that Linux desktop environments are still these clunky, hacker-looking afterthoughts, you'd be very mistaken. Take the modern Ubuntu desktop, for example. It is incredibly clean, beautiful, it features a really streamlined app store, and honestly, it's just completely intuitive. You can manage your entire daily workflow without ever even touching a command line terminal if you just prefer a graphical approach.
We've explored the incredible performance, the unmatched security, and of course, the real-world trade-offs of the operating system that quietly runs the entire world. Learning Linux opens doors to some massive career opportunities in IT, networking, and cybersecurity. So really, the only question left to ask is, which Linux distro are you going to install first? Grab a flash drive, download an ISO, and start your own adventure today. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.